Yeah.
Start, ma'am.
Dear friends and masters, welcome to Oneness Meditation, Qatar Meditation and Wisdom Sharing Sessions. Today we have Dr. Meghna Varma and Dr. Shaifali Gupta from India who will be talking on Mind Sutra, the use of yogic practices in modern psychology. Dr. Shaifali Gupta, MBBS, MD, PATH, is currently Senior Director, Lab Services at Cliantha Research Ltd. She completed MBBS from KEMH and MD Pathology from Seth VSGH, Ahmedabad. With over 21 years in the field of medicine, she is an active practitioner of yoga and meditation and has been teaching meditation at her workplace and social media channels. Dr. Meghna Varma, MS Ophthal, MBA ISB, completed her MBBS and MS from KEM Hospital, Mumbai, and went on to do cornea fellowship in LV Prasad Eye Institute, Hyderabad. After the onset of the progressive blinding disease, Retinitis Pigmentosa, she decided to switch careers and did her MBA from ISB Hyderabad. She discovered the intelligence of Ayurveda and Yoga and responded to her inner calling of wanting to be a mental health professional by doing a psychiatric course from CMC Vellore. She currently practices as a psychotherapist with special interest in yoga therapy. A warm welcome to both the speakers to Oneness Meditation Qatar Wisdom Sharing Platform. Welcome, Masters.
Thank you so much, Shimaji, for this warm welcome and beautiful words. As is the protocol, let us first
Thank you for
start.
the warm introduction. Thank you.
Yeah. And let us start with the meditation session first, and then we start with our session. Yeah. I'll just share the screen for music. Thank you. Dear friends, please take your meditative pose. Please sit down in a very comfortable position. Cross your feet, cross your fingers. If you're wearing glasses, please remove your glasses and close your eyes. Concentrate on your breath, the breath that is going in and the air that is coming out. Hi, dear friends. Dheere dheere. Put your hands over your eyes and keep them on your eyes for some time. Open your eyes in your hands and slowly move your hands from your eyes down to your face and whole body. Open your eyes with a beautiful smile on your face. Thank you, friends.
Thank you, Shaifali ma'am, for a wonderful meditation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for this beautiful opportunity, this wonderful stage. And here I would like to share that both Dr. Meghna and I are authors of this book called Mind Sutra. And Mind Sutra, Transforming Woe to Wow. And what we've tried to do in this book is actually combine the ancient intelligence, yogic philosophy, to the modern psychology and the recent research. And we found during this journey that actually what the ancient principles is exactly what today's psychology is saying and what is being validated by the recent science. So it was a beautiful work of 1.5 years, and we would like to share those thoughts with you.
Yeah. So and Shaifali, I just read that Poonam Mehta, who's the host, she also has a psychology background, right? I mean, are you there, ma'am?
No,
I am Shima Jaiswal. Poonam ma'am couldn't make it today, so I am there.
Okay, acha. I read that she also comes from a psychology background.
Yeah, right. Yeah, Poonam Mehta is from psychology.
Yes. So, since there are few of us, I would really want this to be really interactive, and then we can just have like a conversation. And I believe should we be talking in Hindi or English? Or
I think English. I think they said English was preferable. Actually,
English is preferable.
Yeah, English is preferable. So yeah, I'm just trying to kind of get all of us on the screen, and yeah, both of us on the screen, if that's okay. Now, to share the a little about Mind Sutra. So we know that Ashtanga Yoga is about Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. So there are 8 steps of yoga. The first 2 steps, the Yam and the Niyam, are about our ethical principles that we need to follow in order that, that yoga basically means yuj, which means that, connecting the inner
Union.
peace. Yeah, joining the inner peace and the outer world. So basically staying connected always. And the first 2 steps, even though they are the most, they are very less spoken about. I think most of us would know what asan is, exercises. We would know what pranayam or breathing exercises is about. We know that dhyan is meditation, but we don't know what yams and niyams are. So it was our we put in that effort to figure out what yam and niyam actually means in the current context in our today's lifestyle, and how we could actually put it across, how we could apply these principles in our day-to-day lives. And we have very real stories, with small stories of ours and our friends, to apply to show how the principle works for us. So the first yam, there are 5 yams and there are 5 niyams. Let me share my slides with you.
So YUM is basically, these are guiding principles or ethical principles of how you can have a, basically like Shaifali said, it's union. So how you can have a seamless or frictionless relationship with the world around you. So these are the guiding principles for a beautiful relationship with you and your external world. And niyams are more about your internal, like how you can have a good relationship with yourself. So most of us have a relationship with ourselves. It's just that we don't realize. So because I'm a practicing psychotherapist, I realize how many people have these, they have preconceived notions about themselves, about how they look, how they are performing, whether they are good enough, whether they are not, whether people are angry at themselves, they are guilty about something. So these are relationships or negative relationships people form with themselves. And while writing this book, I realized that just by following the yams and niyams, how much of psychology, how much of modern psychology actually borrows from these principles of yam and niyam. So we'll be covering each one of them. And I think we would like it to be an open discussion that would really make it more interesting if we get your perspectives as well.
Yeah. So just hold on. I'm just trying. So there are 5 yams. These are Satya. Just one second. Yeah. So there are 5 Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Aparigraha, and Brahmacharya. And there are 5 niyams. And these are Shauch, Santosh. There is Tapas, Swadhyay, and Ishwar Pranidhan. So the first is Ahimsa. This is the first of the yams, and it means non-violence. Now, routinely,
I think Shaifali will just have like if we आप लोग जो यहाँ पर है, the people who are here, I mean, if you can just, what does the word non-violence really mean to you? Or in today's context, why do you think non-violence is important in today's context? Or is it important at all? Or do you think it is something which is just, it is something good to have, but it is not practical? Because honestly, before I started studying psychology and like correlating it to yoga, I used to feel that these are like really nice things to say and do, but maybe in this world of today where a lot of violence is actually happening all around us. Sometimes it is not just even the kind of violence which means that nobody is hitting anybody or whatever, but in fact, in the civilized world, suicide rates are even higher than and suicide, people die more with suicide than in the war zone. So that is violence against oneself also, right? So, I mean, what does actually non-violence mean, and is it something which is practical? Even I used to think it is something which is not really practical till I actually started researching it for this book. So I would just want to hear from all of you. That would be really nice.
Shimaji, how would you like it? Would you like us to speak, or would you prefer a more interactive session? How do you want it?
I think it would be more better if you all say about it,
Okay.
because
We'll do that. Sure. So, yeah. So, Ahimsa, as
I
we
will
saw
give you my
it,
personal opinion about Ahimsa. First, I used to be non-vegetarian, but slowly when I came into meditation and I understood the real meaning of what should I say, understanding things, not and compassion, love, oneness. I slowly gave up.
Sure.
I gave it up,
Absolutely.
and I'm absolutely happy with my being vegetarian today.
Absolutely, that's so wonderful. And I think what you really said, that is what we have put it in the book also. The real meaning of ahimsa is oneness or compassion. Yes, at an initial level, but the real thing is oneness, where you don't differentiate between yourself and the other person. It's not about me or you or me versus you anymore. In fact, it is about creating a better us together. So,
That's so true.
that is how we have interpreted ahimsa in the book. And yeah, if anybody else wants to put in, and you said, ahimsa, even for meditation, ahimsa is considered to be like the basis, the foundation. The same is for yoga. Ahimsa is considered to be the first principle, the very basic foundation stone of getting into a yogic practice. So I am so glad to hear your opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else wants to say?
So I think what so ahimsa would mean ahimsa, that we have to be non-violent towards ourselves. Like Meghna mentioned, that there would be no blame games, no feeling of being a victim. There's no negative self-talk. There's no lower self-esteem. We don't pull ourselves down all the time, because that is also a form of hinsa. Like one is for hinsa to the others, hinsa to the other species, as you spoke about, Shimaji. There is also hinsa to the others, probably not physical violence, but at least there's a mental violence when we are gossiping, behind people's backs. There may be a need to control, when we try to control our kids, or a very strong sense of, show our power over the others. That's also when we are kind of, we are being violent, by taking away their freedom, by their freedom of growth. Sometimes we are very clear, you have to do this and you have to do this. Whereas a kid may need to grow in a different way. And when we put that level of control, we have also interpreted that in, as a form of violence to the kids. So these are, and we've put across a lot of personal stories in order to make it, more in order to give our perspective and make it actually a beautiful read.
Yeah. So actually, as a therapist, a lot of time whenever I kind of speak about ahimsa in the modern terms, like, so we have correlated with assertion, and whenever I talk about it, either people have two opinions. One is like, oh, isn't that like answering back? And this is not my culture, or this is not the way I have been brought up to kind of answer back. The second thing is, sometimes people are like, so most people are like, isn't ahimsa the same, or non-violence the same as submission? Isn't it being like submissive? Ki, theek hai, whatever is happening, let me, kind of, because if I answer back, then it would, the situation in the house would become even worse. There would be outbursts, there would be fights, and to that, my thing is that ahimsa is not about cowardice. It is not about submission. It is actually about stating your point of view, but with firmness and gently. Like, so people don't, sometimes people feel that if you are stating your point, it will be looked upon as aggression, but it's not. It's basically assertion, it's firmness, it's being on what you stand for, knowing first of all what you stand for, and then being firm on that ground. And the same thing can be done in a very gentle manner. So that is assertion. That is ahimsa for us. That is how we have interpreted it in the book. Also, we have given certain exercises at the end of each chapter where you can actually practically practice it. Like, how do you have assertive conversations is one exercise that we have given at the end of that chapter in the book to make it very, very practical.
Yeah, the second principle is the second yam that is there is satya. Satya is truth. Now, how we would routinely interpret truth is just speaking the truth, but there's obviously we know more to it, and it is actually about living our truth. And that's how we've interpreted it in the book. Satya means living our life purpose. And we've shared a lot of research which shows that whenever you are following your life purpose and living it, then the telomere length, which is actually, all these principles have been correlated directly with the telomere length and the research studies. Telomere length is actually, telomeres are end of chromosomes. We're part of the nucleus of each cell of ours, and when the telomere length is increased, then our age increases, right? So actually, telomere so satya has been associated with increase in telomere length of people who practice it. So this is beautiful. We've shared a lot of examples and stories in order to share that, that we find we are more happier when we are following our truths.
And like like I said, at the end of each chapter, we have shared some exercises to make it very practical. So one practical exercise, which is about satya, is like, if what would you really want to be written on as an epitaph on your tomb? And because there is very little space, maybe it will allow some 4 or 5 words there, right? So what would you want to be known? For example, like a mother, an entrepreneur, whatever, an author, whatever you really want to be written on that tomb of yours in 4 or 5 letters is actually your satya. That is your life purpose. So, and whatever, and the beauty of satya and ahimsa is that whenever they are at loggerheads, for example, if you think this is your life purpose, but it is something which is coming at the cost of somebody else, then again, the principles of yoga dictate that satya should bow down to ahimsa. Ahimsa is always first. So your inner purpose or the purpose cannot be at the cost of a larger cause. Maybe, like, for example, if you really enjoy something, but it is coming at the cost of environment, then you really have to take that call that whatever is done at the cost of a larger cause or a larger purpose cannot be your true satya.
So true. So there are lots of stories again there which to explain this, that it is satya or life purpose, which is the highest life purpose, that we have. It's not small whims, fancies and desires that we are talking about.
Yeah.
The next.
Shaifali, I'll have to take leave.
Sure.
So I have some other commitments.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll take leave.
Thanks, Meghna, for joining in.
Thank you for this platform.
asteya. So the third principle is the third yam that we are talking about is asteya. Asteya means non-stealing. So routinely, we would know that a non-stealing, is not only stealing of physical things. Asteya also means non-stealing from ourselves, of our time, of our joy. And how do we do it? Most of the times, with today, with such a exposure to social media, we find ourselves comparing ourselves to the others on Facebook, on Instagram all the time. It comes so easily to us. And 10 minutes of Facebook, and you suddenly feel drained. You are not like happy at the end of it. And that's because we're comparing ourselves to the other. And why should we do that? So it also takes in so much of our time. So so we've tried to compare asteya today with dopamine detox, and there are so many research stories. There's very interesting research, and which I would like to share with you here, and which says that just one second, that there was this study done by a professor in the school, and he took the kids for a movie one weekend, and the next weekend he took them for he took them to an orphanage, and where they were supposed to help them. Now, after 1 week, he asked them which did they enjoy. After coming back to the movie, he asked them to rate how much they enjoyed, and everybody gave a great rating. The same he did when they came back from they came back from this orphanage, and but after 6 months, he asked the entire class again to recollect these experiences and share which one they enjoyed more. Now, most of the class did not remember the movie or how they felt after that, but everybody remembered the joy they experienced during this donation drive. And that's when we realized that selfless service actually gives us more happiness and joy. It gives us more lasting, permanent happiness and joy. Whereas the small, frivolous activities that we do for pleasure, they're there for that much time, but then they frizzle away. So it's so important that we indulge ourselves in some form of help to the others, because that is not stealing of our joy. So it's about a stay for lasting joy. The next principle is brahmacharya. Most of the times when we talk of brahmacharya, we speak about celibacy. So it's brahmacharya actually is not only celibacy, it's about focusing our energies and focusing our energies so that when we do that, we are more focused, we are more creative, and when we are so centered within, brahmacharya. Charya is moving, walking. Brahma is in Brahma, in God. And when we are so connected, then we see synchronicities all around us. We see the universe guiding us, and we are more creative. We are if you call it in today's parlance, we are thinking out of the box, and we are making very intelligent, we are providing very intelligent solutions. Same brahmacharya was in there was a research that was again done by Elizabeth Blackburn and Eliza Appel. So Elizabeth Blackburn, in fact, got a Nobel Prize for this, and she chose a group of 250 healthy women, and she asked them 2 questions. One was, how often in the past week have you had moments when you were totally focused or engaged in what you were doing? And second, how often in the past week did you feel that you did not want to be where you were? Now, those people who had a very defocused mind, were totally like all over the place, they reported they had telomeres, shorter telomeres by 200 base pairs. Those people who had very high levels of concentration or mindfulness or being there, which we call brahmacharya, they had longer telomeres. So if you look at, just rumination or just, not being mindful is also associated with shorter lifespan. So it's so important, if we look at it, to be in brahmacharya. There are also a lot of examples of great people and authors and other creative people, artists and scientists who found solutions and who've been at their creative best when they have focused their energy and or when they have been totally connected within. So that's about brahmacharya. The next principle that we have is aparigraha. Aparigraha means letting go. So we've interpreted aparigraha as minimalism, unattachment, or basically someone that, as so that we feel free in spirit. Now, this also means aparigraha, also letting go would mean forgiveness. So it not only means in the physical world that we live minimalistically, because again, there have been beautiful studies which showed this, something very interesting called JAM study, in which they showed that when you offer less options to people, they are more likely to buy more, which is so interesting. We end up spending more time, and and even kids, if, for example, if it has been seen that those kids who have lesser toys they'll end up playing more, in that room with the toys, whereas those who have a huge array of toys in front of them will just throw them around. Aparigraha, there are beautiful again examples of aparigraha, wherein we have we've had stories of people from the concentration camp. Edith Eger, she is a beautiful author and a psychologist who was in this Nazi concentration camp, and it was only, she tells a story in this beautiful book Choice that she has written, which is autobiographical, and she mentions that it was only after she let go of all, if she could forgive, and forgive doesn't mean that you say that what he did was right, what Hitler did was right, but you throw out the resentment from yourself. You don't carry it with you. And even though she had lost her parents and her sister in that same concentration camp, she decided to let go of all the hurts and resentment that she had faced there. And it was only when she did that, she could move on and make her life beautiful again. So, when we carry baggage with us, whether it is physical baggage, just collecting things, it makes it so difficult. Our life seems so cluttered. If we carry emotional baggage with us, again, it makes it so difficult for us. I remember in the scenario, my grandfather, he used to be my Nanaji, used to be an architect, and after 60, he stopped working for money, and he would just, provide his services to building ashrams in Haridwar and Rishikesh. And he had a very, very simple lifestyle, and he was the happiest person. He was so happy with and so independent, and lived a very, very long life till the age of 94. So that's what aparigraha, I think, really means. It means that is what also, even Indian system was had for brahmacharya ashram and vanaspati ashram, and so, and there was samadhi, sannyas ashram at the end of it, which meant that people were supposed to let go of all the attachments that they had developed in the first 3 stages, grihastha ashram, household. So initially during the student life and as a householder, it asked us to kind of let go of our attachments so that we would lead we could lead a more blissful and a happier life. The more we are attached, the more we make it difficult for ourselves, both in the physical and the mental world. So these were the 5 yams that we have spoken about: Satya, Ahimsa, Asteya, Brahmacharya, Parigraha. Now we come to the 5 niyams. The 5 niyams, or the 5 disciplines, these are Shauch. Shauch is purity. So again, purity would not only mean purity of body. It's very important that we have purity of the body, which means that we have, there are a lot of methods. It's cleansing of the body. So even outer cleanliness, it means cleanliness of the environment. Keeping our houses clean, that keeps us away from the diseases, making our food, which is very pure and clean. And not only our body. Obviously, we know that student or kids, they are pure-hearted, and when they are pure-hearted, they are innocent. It is they are so relatable, and they're so trustworthy, and and everybody looks forward to being with them. And that's how, if we are pure in our thoughts, in our attitudes, in our surroundings, we automatically become very trustworthy, and people look forward to being with us. Again, and it also, the universe, we relate universe, if we have a clear mind and then we ask for something, the universe is only open to manifesting our desires. So it is very important that we maintain Shauch, not only at the physical level, but also have an authentic behavior, because when we are honest, we are trustworthy, and we are looked upon as authentic people. And again, there was those people who are negative and carry baggage. Again, there is they have shorter telomere lengths, which goes on to say that they have shorter lifespans. When we are clear and even in our minds, then we are less diseased. The second yam is Santosh. So Santosh is acceptance at the first level. Shrimanji, is there something you would like to share here?
No, it's okay, ma'am. We can carry on.
Okay. So the Santosh is the next principle, next niyam, and which means acceptance and gratitude. The more we fill ourselves with gratitude, with positivity, with joy, that is what we attract. We become magnets to more abundance in our life. The more we see lack, and that is what we attract. So we are always chasing things. So and again, there are numerous studies in psychology and otherwise, which show that gratitude actually brings about, enhances our relationships, all spheres. Physically, it gives us mental peace, and we add joy to people's lives as well. For example, there is Martin Seligman. He is known to be the father of psychology, and he did a very nice study wherein there was something he called it a gratitude visit, wherein the participants were supposed to deliver a letter of appreciation to somebody in their lives. And he realized that just doing that much added so much happiness to the participants' life, which lasted up to a month after they had done it. The next principle, the third niyam, is tapas. Tapas obviously comes from tapasya. It just means a lot of effort, hard work that we put in, the self-discipline that we have. And when we do that, when we sacrifice our transient pleasures for a long-term benefit, when we are persistent with whatever we do, we find beautiful results. And that is what is seen in every single great person, whether it could be Sachin Tendulkar, cricket, it could be, or it could be, anybody that any from the field of sports, from the field of politics, science, anywhere. It is only when you've put in effort every day, every single day, all your lives, that you see the results come out, the results flow. There was a beautiful experiment they called the marshmallow experiment, and this was done by professors in Stanford. And what they did was that in this one experiment, they had children in separate rooms, and they kept a marshmallow on each one's table. And they were told that, and they left the room, and they said, until we don't come back, you're not eating the marshmallow. And if you don't eat it, you will get another one. So there were kids who ate it, and there were kids who did not. Now, these people, all the kids were followed up for more than 40 years as to what they did in life. And they found that those small kids who had not eaten their marshmallow actually had better scores when they entered college. They had they had everything. They had better relationships. They were not into addiction. They had better jobs. They had better they had lesser chances of obesity. They had better social skills, and they responded better to stress. Whereas those people who had eaten the marshmallow, they had more challenges and more stresses in their life, even 40 years later. Now, this is a very, very interesting experiment, and a very famous one, which just goes on to show that when we, have the attitude of tapas, of control, of restraint in our life, and have a sense of self-discipline, our life flowers in every which way. The ninth principle is Swadhyay, which means self-learning. Swadhyay is also one of the pillars that Brahmarishi Pitama speaks about, and it basically means working on ourselves constantly. And when we involve ourselves in self-improvement, our life just changes. It changes because we then do not have the energy to focus on the outside, on those things that may give us, negativity, and we bloom. We work on ourselves through introspection, removing our rough edges, through these principles that we have spoken about, and make our lives beautiful. Again, there are beautiful examples of people who had diseases, and only with their mental, with their capability of looking within, they were able to clear the various mental challenges or the parts of their personality, which also showed improvement in their diseases, which is actually what Louise Hay speaks about. She speaks about how mental causes are responsible for physical diseases. So this is the ninth niyam, and the 10th niyam is Ishwar Pranidhan. Ishwar Pranidhan basically means first, surrender. It means surrender to the divine. It means being one. Eventually, surrender is being one with the divine. It is choosing to have a higher perspective. And whenever we do that, whenever we can move out from the stress that we see around us, and we just move out of the situation, take a higher perspective, and see God as our partner, as our collaborator, then life just gets so much easier. Again, there are beautiful studies of Ishwar Pranidhan where it has been shown that telomeres have lengthened when we involve ourselves, for example, in meditation. So whenever we meditate, whenever there are lots of stories when people have connected and they have found guidance and their life has changed, or they have been saved from a very challenging scenario just by surrendering to the unknown. So life just takes a different direction, takes a more beautiful direction. So at those times when we feel lost, it makes a lot of sense, or just living with God, or living with God as your partner, as a collaborator. It just makes life so much easier, so much fun, because we always find guidance. And so I think
thank you, Shaifali ma'am. You explained it so beautifully, gave us such a good insight. And in a detailed way, you told about the yum and niyam. I know that was really great. I want to know one thing. While reading the book, can you give us any tips or special points that you would like to mention to the reader or to the viewer?
So like Meghna had mentioned, we have, it is with a lot of cartoons, and we have exercises at the end of each principle, and wherein how we need to follow them. So there is actually a lot of takeaways. It just means, so, everything like dopamine detox to gratitude, it just means that everything that we are speaking about, whether it is management principles or psychology, it actually comes in from, again, that is exactly what the yogic principles are speaking. So there is so much of ancient intelligence. I think we just, and surrendering to the divine, and not so everything is just the same thing. It's the same language, the same path. And if we live in this sense of gratitude, if we are just simple people letting go of all the mental baggage in whatever forms, and just stay with our life purpose, I think life becomes much, much simpler, and we feel guided, and we are guided. We know that we are guided. And and that's how we would also have a more smooth, happier, more fulfilling, and a longer lifespan. So
And really, the name of the book, Mind Sutra, it's really fascinating. Where did you get the inspiration from this? How did it come to you?
I think we've actually written it in the book. I think we were just following our life purpose. It just had to be, it was a huge struggle when we were not doing it. I mean, before we started, there was a sense, there was a lack of direction. We just knew we wanted to do it. I tried writing it alone. Actually, that's how it started. I started to write it alone, and I could not. And then I was searching for a partnership. So we live in different cities. I and Meghna had not met each other before we wrote the book. She stays in Hyderabad. I stay in Ahmedabad. But I think everything just, I think that the book was meant to be. It all fell in place. And it was a very, very, very beautiful journey. And honestly, I mean, not because it's my book, it's a very beautiful read if somebody is interested in in this thought process, or connecting the older intelligence with the newer.
Did writing this book make you feel like you could deal with certain things better now in life?
Yes.
Because
because it was a very long journey, Shimaji. It was 1.5 years. We ended up reading a lot. There was, and one thing that I learned, that you cannot, I mean, it has to come from within you, because if you are just kind of taking it from somewhere else, you will never be able to put it together until you don't understand it. So there were some chapters we took many months to write, even though we were writing every day. because because we would not get it right. Ishwar Pranidhan, for example, we did not want to say that God is outside of us, and we knew now with meditation. So we were like, we are God, and it is about, again, that staying connected and surrendering to that inner knowing. So that's what we said it was about. So to understand each of these principles, brahmacharya, we took a very long time to figure out actually what we want to, what it would really mean for us. So it was, yes, a beautiful journey. It still goes on every day. And then, staying connected, talking about it, that's actually how I got into PMC. I was not meditating earlier, but when I started to write this book, I knew that I had to learn more about meditation. And that's when, I found PMC and started meditating. So life has taken like at least a 180-degree turn since in these just 180, in these 2 years for me, just because I started to write the book. The book made me a part of it. I mean, we really think that, Mind Sutra had to find us. So it was more that way. It was something that was meant to be.
Yeah, it was. Thank you so much, Dr. Shaifali and Dr. Meghna. It was a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for joining us for this amazing session. And I hope our viewers gained much from it.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Friends, let us express our deep gratitude to both the masters who graced us with their energy and wisdom. Thank you, friends. Thank you.